Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating everyday artifact, a handwritten nursing research study guide. You know, it's the exact kind of paper that gets a nursing student through those brutal late-night study sessions. But we're going to look past the cursive and break down the logical journey of learning that it actually represents. If you're in healthcare, education, or really just love seeing how complex subjects get broken down into bite-sized pieces, you're going to find this structure incredibly satisfying.
So let's just dive right into it. What we're looking at is a simple handwritten list of 8 essential study prompts. But honestly, don't let the casual handwriting fool you here. This isn't just some random list of to-dos. It's actually a highly structured funnel of learning. It literally takes the learner by the hand and walks them from the absolute broadest concepts of inquiry all the way down to a super specific, career-focused application.
To really appreciate this journey, we're going to break this curriculum down into 3 main buckets. First, the foundations of general research. Second, methodologies and scientific steps. And third, applying research to nursing.
Starting right off with Section 1, Foundations of General Research.
Right out of the gate, those first 3 handwritten points require the student to do 3 things. Number 1, define research. Number 2, write down its objectives. And number 3, note its characteristics. You see, before the student can even think about patient care or clinical trials, they absolutely have to lay down a concrete foundation. They need to understand the fundamental nature of seeking out knowledge.
That very first prompt sets the stage by asking the most fundamental question possible before any actual work begins. Define research. I mean, it sounds simple enough, right? But the student isn't just reciting a dictionary definition here. They're being asked to internalize what it actually means to systematically investigate the unknown. It's a massive shift, moving from just being a passive receiver of information into becoming an active investigator.
And building immediately on that, points 2 and 3 ask the student to write down the objectives and characteristics. This demands a real grasp of research's underlying purpose. Like, why are we doing this? What are we actually trying to achieve? Is it objective? Is it empirical? Basically, it establishes the rules of the game long before the student ever steps onto the playing field.
Which brings us to Section 2, Methodologies and Scientific Steps.
Okay, so once that philosophical foundation is poured, prompts 4 through 6 shift the focus straight to methodology. The list asks for the types of research, specific definitions of qualitative and quantitative, and the actual scientific steps. We've officially moved from what is this to how does this actually work? We're finally getting our hands dirty with the mechanics of scientific inquiry.
Now, prompt number 5 presents this really vital methodological crossroads that the student has to learn to navigate: qualitative versus quantitative. And in the medical field, this is literally everything. Does the student understand the difference between measuring a patient's exact blood pressure, which is quantitative, hard data, versus sitting down and interviewing that same patient about their daily lived experience with chronic pain, which is qualitative data?
By putting these 2 distinct analytical frameworks right next to each other, the study guide makes sure the learner realizes that neither method is superior. Instead, they're just 2 halves of a whole. You absolutely need both of them if you want to gain a complete picture of complex human phenomena. To cap off this methodology section, point number 6 tasks the student with writing down the procedural flow, the scientific steps research work. This proves they understand the sequential actions required to conduct actual research. You can't just jump straight to a conclusion. You have to observe, hypothesize, test, analyze, and then conclude. It forces the student to memorize the universal language of scientific action.
Moving on to our final bucket, Section 3, Applying Research to Nursing.
So the 7th and 8th prompts directly target the student's actual career path by asking them to define nursing research and to explore its scope. We just spent 6 steps living in the general world of science. And now the lens sharply focuses on the student's future profession, right there at the bedside.
And you know, this is a very intentional educational leap. Nursing research isn't just about mixing chemicals in a vacuum. It's about optimizing actual patient care and advancing health outcomes. The student has to take everything they just learned about those quantitative numbers and qualitative experiences and synthesize the whole shebang directly into a real-world healthcare context.
Which brings us to the very end of the list. The 8th and final point ensures the student understands the exact boundaries, limitations, and reach of research within their specific healthcare practice. Scope is such a powerful word here. It asks the student, what are you actually authorized to study? Where do your professional responsibilities begin and end?
It perfectly grounds all of that high-level scientific thinking right into the practical, everyday realities of being a nurse in a working clinical environment.
When you think about it, consider the incredible transformation that happens across just these 8 handwritten lines. A student starts with a blank slate and walks away with a complete framework for inquiry. Why does this build the essential mindset of a modern nursing professional? Well, because in healthcare, compassion absolutely must be paired with evidence. Answering these prompts is exactly the cognitive training required for the life-saving realities of evidence-based medicine. So the next time you learn a new skill, ask yourself, are you starting broad, mastering the mechanics, and then focusing deeply on your specific craft?